Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for our cooking class. I'm Kelly Kimry. I am the wellness coordinator for Live Life Well. I'm filling in for Kate, who's out on maternity leave, but I'm excited to share with you. Chef Lynn Wells is with us for a quick and easy meal that's also very healthy and seasonal as well. So I am going to let her get into what she does best and take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great day and enjoying this beautiful weather. I get so excited when the seasons change because that means a whole new set of produce from the farmer's market. We're starting to slow down at home on our tomato sandwiches for dinner. So we're buying pumpkins now and acorn squash. And I just thought this would be a really good recipe to share with you is the stuffed acorn squash. It is easy. It is quick if you. I'll talk about some time saving tips as we go along. But I want to talk with you a little bit about acorn squash. I like to buy them. You'll see them almost the size of a small pumpkin in the grocery store or the farmer's market. And for this side dish, I'm going to be cutting it in half, but I like to go with something on a little bit smaller size, and you'll see why when I cut into it. So when you cut into any squash like this, whether it's a butternut squash or an acorn squash or spaghetti squash, you want to make sure you have a really good, firm, wide blade knife. This is a chef knife, 8-inch chef knife, versus a paring knife for obvious reasons. You're gonna want to really get in there, and the paring knife is just not going to work. So again, I'm going to cut this in half, but before I do that, I'm going to cut the ends off just ever so slightly, so that when we stuff them, they'll lay flat instead of rocking in the baking dish. But you don't want to cut too much off the end because then you're cutting into the part that you're going to be filling with all the good ingredients. So I'm holding this firmly as I cut into it, and then I'm going to sort of get eyeball it from above. And once I get my knife in place, I'm going to move my hand out of the way, and I'm going to put my knife in, and then just sort of use my other hand to give it a good whop. I don't know what other word to use, but once and that was going to go in crooked. It's like when you're hitting a nail in the wall. Get a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to give it another whack, if you will. Go straight down. So when you cut into these, you'll want to remove the seeds, and you can either do it before you bake them or roast them, or you can do it after they've roasted. And if you wait until after they've roasted, it just looks like this, and then you take your spoon and just easily scrape out. You'll have a little bit of pulp and a little bit of threads, if you will, from the squash, the fibrous texture, but those seeds come right out. So it's up to you. I scooped out all of these before I baked it. It's very easy, but I wanted to demonstrate you can do it either before or after. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a baking sheet or a cookie sheet and line it with parchment paper. And then I'm going to take some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to be very generous in just drizzling that olive oil right there on the pan. And the oven's going to be preheated to 400 degrees. So that's going to give us a really good caramelization on the squash that we're going to be putting face down from where you removed the seed. So I'm just going to put that, but you'll have if you're doing 6 servings, you'll have 3 squash, and that'll fill up the baking sheet. So I just wanted to give you a visual of what that looks like. And then after 20-25 minutes at 400 degrees, you're left with a beautiful roasted acorn squash that's caramelized around the edges. And those are the natural sugars of the squash itself coming through. And 20 minutes, I went in and I opened the oven, and I did use my paring knife. And I just sort of, to see how tender it was, because if you take it raw, the knife's not really going to go in that easily. But once they're cooked, your knife your knife will go in much easier. You'll be able to tell if they're done or not. And then once they're done, after about 20 minutes, I take the pan out of the oven and cover it with foil until I'm ready to stuff them, or not. That's an option. But the 20 minutes that they're baking, this is where the time quick and easy comes in. I'm sauteing the turkey sausage. Now, if you can't find turkey sausage, ground turkey sausage, you can use just ground turkey and make the sausage yourself. So if you do that, you'll want to buy it'll say ground turkey instead of ground turkey breast. Ground turkey breast will have hardly any fat in it, which means it's going to be a lot drier. But I do like buying the ground turkey just general, because that means breasts and thighs have been ground up. And then to that, you would add some red pepper, crushed red pepper flakes. Sage is the key ingredient whenever you're, wanting to get that sausage flavor. Maybe some fennel seeds, but you can make your own sausage flavorings, if you will, or just go the easy route and buy turkey sausage. And there's also low sodium turkey sausage if you want to do that route as well. So ground turkey has much less fat in it than, say, a regular sausage, pork sausage. And because of that, that's why we're going to add, after it's cooked, I've already cooked it with the celery and onion. That's why we're adding the half cup of water. Now, I wanted to point something out. There is a difference in dry ingredient measuring cups and wet ingredient measuring cups. So this is a dry ingredient measuring cup. This is what you would use for baking, flour, cornmeal, whatever. Now, I used it tonight for the water because, one, I didn't have a wet measuring cup, but two, I thought, I'll use this as an education opportunity, and it really isn't that important that it's exact. So, it's just a half cup of water. But I wanted to let you know that there is a difference in dry ingredient measuring cup and wet ingredient measuring cup for oil, milk, things like that. So I've added the half cup of water to the already cooked ground turkey and celery and onion, and that's sauteing, mixing that around. And while we're on celery, this is a great segue. I love to save the celery leaves, and I'll just pinch these off, and I'll either chop them up and put them into soup, or you'll see when we finish, I like to use them as a garnish. Garnish chicken salad, garnish a bowl of, say, butternut squash soup. But they just, try to start thinking about no waste when you're cooking. So that was just another tip to throw in. So the squash is roasting. We've got the sausage and celery and onions cooking, and things are starting to smell really great. Now I'm going to add the water chestnuts that have been diced. And by the way, this recipe is really just delicious with for Thanksgiving or any holiday season. It's just got those flavors. It's a really great savory side dish. Actually, it could be a main dish with the meat in it. So I've got the water chestnut, and I have just lightly beaten 2 large eggs. Put that in there. And then this is just a great ingredient. This, with all of the savory ingredients and savory layers, I'm going to add dried cranberries. Stir that around. And then I'm going to take my measuring spoon, and I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of whole milk. You should have have had access to the recipe earlier today. And then I have got a 3/4 of a cup of just plain breadcrumbs. You can buy them Italian seasoned or with Parmesan. These are just plain breadcrumbs. And that's another reason we have put the half cup of water in, because it's sort of going to form its own gravy, if you will. So this is mixing up very nicely. And then now for just a pop of like fresh flavor and also color, I've got fresh parsley. So you'll see this is a really beautiful, colorful dish. I like to think that we eat with our eyes, especially if you have loved ones that may not be feeling very well, or this is just another way make things visually appealing. So this almost takes on the consistency of a dressing, like a pan dressing that you make for the holidays. So I have got this all mixed up, and now I'm going to turn my heat off. I'm going to show you sort of what that looks like, if you will. It looks very much like a pan dressing. And now I've got my baking dish. The reason we go back and bake it again is because we've got raw egg in here, and we want it to set up. So I've got my handy dandy scoop here. If you don't have a scoop, ice cream scoop, you can just use a spoon or whatever you have. And I'll have more mix than I have squash. The recipe calls for 8 servings, and just to show you for class purposes, I'm doing 3 halves or 3 servings. If you want to make this dish vegetarian, just leave the sausage or the ground turkey out and add farro or wheat berry or brown rice, quinoa, any of those wonderful ancient grains. That would make a wonderful hearty side dish that's vegetarian. But I'll tell you, one of these is quite filling. One serving, the squash and the breadcrumbs. Like I said, it's really a dressing with a little sweetness from the cranberries and the crunch from the water chestnuts. So once we've got that filled up, I'll come back and depending on how it looks, you can drizzle a little bit of olive oil on top. But we'll bake this, put this in the oven for about 20 minutes. And you'll want to cover it because the squash is really already done. What we're wanting to do is really just heat the filling all the way through. So I recommend covering it with foil before you put it in the oven, and then heating it to 15 to 20 minutes. And then when you take it out, do a serving for you. This would be beautiful on a platter with these halves, lined up. I'm just gonna use my hands. Your hands are the best tool that you have in the kitchen. So as you can see, because I cut that bottom off just a little bit, it gives me a nice flat bottom. And then I'm going to come back in here. This is again just a visual extra. You don't have to do it, but if you had these on a platter, you could get some fresh sage and line this up on line some fresh sage up. And it's just a nice addition when you're serving your guests or you have family members over. But do make this and just use your own variation. Again, it's going to be a great holiday dish to have. And I think everybody's going to really love it. You're going to have that dressing consistency, which is just super comfort food. And then you'll get into the natural sweetness of winter squash, acorn squash itself. So I hope that you will make this stuffed acorn squash. You could get these really any time of the year, but I just thought it would be a really nice transition recipe as we go into fall. So if you have any questions, I'm looking forward to hearing from you and seeing what you have, and I'll be happy to take those questions now.
Okay, any questions? So I want to thank Lynn for being here with us tonight. Can't wait to try this. It looks so delicious. It smells wonderful. Thank you all for being with us as well. And looks like a question might have just popped up. Did you get that answered? Here we go. Oh, yeah, they're saying they are looking forward to trying it. So
Thank you.
Thank you all for being with us, and we're gonna be on YouTube later, as well as share it with you if you want to review the recipe again. If you have any questions along the way, you can always email us at livelifewell@cronehealth.com. And
Thank you.